Hi,
Hello, good evening. I'm great. How about you? Can you hear me well?
I can hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly too. How are you doing?
Good, how are you doing? Your name is Rich?
Great. Exactly. My name is actually it's my nickname. My nickname is Rich, but my name is Richard. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. My name is David.
All right, David. It's a pleasure to meet you. So, yeah,
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
of course. Okay, like I said, my name is Rich, and I've been here on the platform for quite a long time. This is actually it's been a while since the last time I logged on here on the platform. Uh, I love studying English. English is my passion, and I think speaking is the best way, to get better at it. So I'm here to talk, to have a great experience, and have a great conversation. What about you? Can you please talk a little bit about you, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name's David, and I started teaching on Cambly maybe at the beginning of the pandemic. Uh,
Uh,
yeah, so when everyone was at home, I decided to try teaching online.
all right.
Um, but I stopped that after everyone kind of started going back to work.
I get
And
it.
so yeah, but I recently quit my job. So I'm sort of just like living on my savings, but I teach online Cambly just to have a little bit to meet people and to have a little bit of income, just like a little extra money.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about your, for example, I'm sorry for asking that, but was your last job related to teaching or it was something completely different from it?
It was different. So it was like IT computer work. So I worked like with Linux and
All right.
I did programming for like automation testing. It's like,
I
I don't know,
see.
if you're into computers, it might be interesting, but if you're not, then it's probably kind of boring.
Yeah, it's actually I am. I am into computers. I used to take a hardware course, back then when I was younger, and it was pretty cool. And it's interesting that you said that you worked in the technology field because I feel you. Like now you are teaching English, and it's amazing because I studied electrical engineering, in college. Yeah, but no, by the end of the course I realized that I was not happy, studying it. But I'm kind of person who doesn't like giving up. I need to go to the end of it, and I said, okay, let's go, let's finish it, and then after that I figure out what to do. After that I said, okay, right now what do I do? I don't know. And it's interesting because I had like an English page in front of me, and then I said, why not try teaching English? I love it. I've been studying here on Cambly for a long time. Like this is a new account actually because I had to take a break, because of the price and everything, several reasons. But and then I had been studying here for 4 years actually, before I took the before I took a break, and then my English, skyrocketed. It got so much better, and then I said, okay, why not try teaching English? Why not try apply for an English school? And that's exactly what I did. I worked at an English school for uh, quite a long time, and then I decided to follow my own path, and now I also teach English. I have conversation classes like here on Cambly, but my own method. I have conversations with students, and it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. So do you primarily teach English to speakers of a specific language?
Yeah, actually, I teach English, to these people, to Portuguese speakers, actually, so people here from Brazil, because unfortunately, we have a lack of English, in our country. The way it is taught, in the public schools, it's not good. So many people they want to speak the language, and but they say, oh, I have many grammar classes, but I don't have anyone to speak with. I have tried Cambly because I recommend Cambly all the time. It was what worked for me, what has worked for me, so I recommend Cambly. But unfortunately, because of the currency, it's it's complicated. So they say, "Oh, Rich, it's very expensive." So my price is affordable. So they, "Oh, Rich, well, I'd like to practice with you." And then in the future, when I can afford Cambly, I subscribe to it. Yeah.
I think also a flip side of what you're doing is you could teach Portuguese to English speakers too, so it could go both ways.
The other way around, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people from Brazil on Cambly,
All right.
and like there's certain sounds in Portuguese I don't think I can pronounce like
Oh.
as a English speaker. Because I've tried like sometimes they've tried to teach me some words and I can't hear like the certain there's I mean I think there's some certain sounds that maybe it's hard for me to hear, but yeah,
Yeah.
Portuguese is cool, I think.
Yeah, it's and have you talked to many people like from Brazil here on the platform?
Yeah, quite a few. Like especially when I was first teaching Cambly. Um, I don't know if it's like the time that I would teach. Maybe it syncs up with Brazil, but yeah, I met quite a few Brazilians, and Brazilians
Okay.
overall are really friendly. They're easy to talk to, and so like I definitely enjoy, meeting people from Brazil.
Yeah, that's great. Talking about this because I think it's part of our culture. We love making friends. We love having conversations. Sometimes we are at a bus stop and then we see someone. We start talking about the day. Oh, it's a pretty day, right? So and then the conversation all develops. So it's pretty good. And and how was it like? Since you made this transition when you worked like in technology and then you started teaching here on Cambly, did you feel nervous at first, meeting people? Because talking about me personally, it was I'm now I'm much better at it, but in the past I was very very shy, and I always got stuck. But eventually I got better, and I can come up with topics, out of nothing. And how about you? How was this process like? What was this process like for you?
That's a good question. I think overall I like it because I do like meeting people from like all over the world, and I'm genuinely interested in like learning about people's lives.
All right.
So it's not too hard for me to like ask questions and talk to people. Maybe it's even easier talking to people on Cambly than like in real life for some reason. Like maybe I'd feel more nervous like in real life talking to someone
Uh,
versus like on Cambly, but yeah, I don't have a problem. Sometimes, you run out of maybe things to talk about, but 90% of the time, I feel like the conversation flows pretty easily.
okay.
Some students want to use like the Cambly lessons,
Yeah.
and then some people just want to have a conversation. So either way is okay. Like I don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. It's great that you're talking about this because I believe it's a new thing, a new feature of Cambly, these lessons, because back then I don't remember having them. It was just like face-to-face conversation like this, and it was amazing for me. Like I remember the first lessons that I had. Before like subscribing to Cambly back in 2018 or 19, if I'm not mistaken, I had taken an English course, and for a year and a half approximately. And I could learn the basics, like how to ask like questions in the present, in the past, like in the future. But the advanced like tenses, the present perfect, past perfect, I just learned, through the conversations, like having the conversation, like noticing the way the teachers, the tutors would pronounce the words, and I'm very curious, I'm very curious, and I would also go online. I think the internet is a great, resource for us, to look for answers, and then it's a pattern, and then our brain is amazing, right, at learning and recognizing the patterns, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so for example, I'm okay, well I can speak Japanese. Not
Oh,
too
really? You
great.
can?
Yeah, yeah. I lived in
That's awesome.
Japan for a little bit, so I spent a long time, like a big break of just like not studying Japanese, but recently I've started to just every day for a little bit of time studying Japanese.
All right.
But also I've started trying to learn Spanish too. Um, yeah, so it's really good for your brain though, I think, to learn and speak another language.
Absolutely.
So I think you're a pretty smart guy. I think generally
Thank you.
smart people can pick up languages and speak well. So that's a compliment to you at being
Thank,
a good speaker of English. I
thanks
can
so
usually
much.
tell within like the first few sentences someone speaks, I can tell their level of English.
Oh,
And as soon
really?
as you
Okay.
spoke, yeah, as soon as you spoke, I was like, okay, he's a good speaker of English.
Thanks so much for saying that. And it's so nice, hearing that from you. You're a native speaker, and it's so hard, like learning a new language, especially because we have to, uh, you know, juggle the demands of life. We have to work, we have to study, and like I said, like back then I was in college studying electrical engineering, and sometimes I had to decide which subject I was going to study. I'd like so much to keep studying English, but I need to take a test tomorrow. So, and like trying to balance everything and being able to succeed in it, it's great. And thanks so much for saying those things. It's a great thing.
So I've got a question. So,
Go ahead.
like, there's an analogy I'll give you. So usually people that work out, at first they get big really quick. Like the first few months of working out is easy, but after you gain that first amount of muscle, to keep making gains, it gets harder and harder. So
Definitely.
so your English is at a good level, but are you trying to push it to like the next level?
That's a great question, because like you said, like for example, you have been studying Japanese as well as Spanish, right? And I have given that some thought. Okay, what if I start learning Spanish, or I don't know, French or any other language? But English is my favorite language. I think I love English even more than my first language, Portuguese. I all the time I try to spend time listening to English, talking to people, my students that I have now, as much as I can. And I think that quality. I prefer quality over quantity. So I said, okay, I'd like to take my English to the best level I can. To be the best version of myself when it comes to speaking English. So now, like you said, like I have reached this plateau level. Sometimes I know what you mean. What I do, I try to simulate as if I lived in an English speaking country. So from the morning to the evening, I'm constantly reading something. For example, I have a couple of books here in English, trying to simulate this process. I think this is the only way to break through, this wall.
That I think that's a great method. I think reading like English books, novels, newspapers is really good. You get to see English sentences, the grammar's all correct, and yeah, I think ta it's the next level. I think almost have you like because unless you actually live in an English speaking country, it's really hard to, practice all the time.
Yeah.
Have you thought about maybe getting a job at a company that overseas or
That's an amazing question. Yes, I have. I have thought of that. However, because of family, like I believe we Brazilians, we are so close to family. So our parents, relatives, and we spend so much time together. So I rule out, I ruled out these option. So I prefer living here in Brazil, and keep like doing as much as I can, and to learn even more. So, and one thing that I'm doing that is, it's funny, I've been watching cartoons, as well, to try to imitate the kids, the children when they are learning. Sometimes I come across certain expressions that, oh, why did the character say that way? And then I do some research. It's awesome. It's a great process.
nice, that's awesome. That's really cool.
And yeah, and one thing, my wife is also an English teacher, by the way.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, so we are doing the same process together.
Do you guys have any kids?
No, we don't have any kids yet, but we'd like to, and it will be amazing, because we can watch it, like the cartoons and everything, with him or her, and it'll be pretty cool. And we help each other. Sometimes we are unmotivated, and then, okay, let's learn. We can push each other. but David, thanks so much for this
Yeah, it
amazing
was really nice
class.
talking with you. Yeah.